WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. A tropical system is in the Gulf dumping rain in southern Louisiana, and it could soon be causing problems in Mississippi as well.
What is now Tropical Storm Barry could bring severe weather our way this weekend. For the latest, we're going to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson and get a first look at our forecast tonight.
Well, lots of stuff happening in the world of weather. There's Barry right now, southeast of New Orleans, a minimal storm. Most of the convection is actually south of the center, but that is forecasted to come our way this weekend. Rain, maybe several inches of rain, 2 to 6 plus, and an isolated tornado threat. So that's waiting for this weekend. In the near term, we have the skies opening on up in the Columbus area. That was looking with our Alpha Insurance camera. We have some downpours in downtown Columbus and a lot of lightning out there too, and that extends over into West Alabama as well. We have an outflow boundary kicking back into Mississippi from Alabama. That's really helping to trigger some of these storms. So pretty active now, much like yesterday evening, but just like yesterday evening, a lot of this goes away by midnight or so. I'm back with your full forecast in just a few minutes.
All charges against Tupelo City Attorney Ben Logan are dismissed. Lee County Justice Court Judge Chuck Hopkins took only a few minutes to rule that the checkpoint where Logan was stopped was unconstitutional. Hopkins says the ruling is based on Supreme Court case law. Logan was stopped December 7th by state troopers after leaving a Christmas party. He was charged with DUI refusal. The misdemeanor case was delayed several times. This afternoon, the Mississippi Department of Public Safety issued a statement saying, quote, MHP has not received official documentation regarding the ruling from Judge Hopkins and therefore cannot comment at this time, end quote.
A couple in Lowndes County is accused of child neglect. The man is still behind bars. The mother has been released on bond, but the children are no longer in the home. Our
Riley Livingston takes a look at how law enforcement handle cases like this.
Most parents can't imagine neglecting their child's basic needs. But Youth Court Judge Lydia Quarles says it happens more often than you might think.
I cannot tell you the situations that these Child Protective Services people see because they take pictures and they bring them back to court. And you would not, it is very hard for me to believe.
We get some, not a lot. Thank goodness. You know, it breaks your heart to see a child abused or mistreated or anything like that. You know, I'm a softy when it comes to kids, and we go to every call. We check every welfare concern that we get a call for to make sure that everything's okay.
And those calls make a difference. Child Protective Services and law enforcement often rely on the community to spot child neglect cases.
They know more what's going on in their neighborhood out somewhere than maybe we would know, and you've got a lot of young mothers and parents that work, and sometimes, unfortunately, they leave kids at home by themselves unattended, which is not safe, and you know, we need to know that.
From not going to school to not having food or even clothes at home, there are many levels of neglect.
If you're not seeing that they're in school, that can be educational neglect. So that's probably the least neglectful thing, is you don't get your child to school. If you don't have suitable clothes, if you don't have beds for your children, if you don't have food in the house, if it's a filthy environment.
When CPS gets called, they go to investigate and develop a plan of action.
The first thing they do is to determine what is the threat to the child and fix that. CPS can work with families informally, and if that doesn't work, then they can bring them to court.
Quarles says when you make a call to the CPS hotline, you can stay anonymous. She encourages anyone with suspicions of neglect or abuse to call 1-800-222-8000. Inmates in the Pontotoc County Jail are putting food on the table.
They're growing the vegetables that will end up in their meals, and as our Allie Martin tells us, saving tax dollars in the process.
Every morning, inmates at the Pontotoc County Jail go to work in the garden. Lately, they've been harvesting corn, one of the largest crops in the jail's garden. Sheriff Leo Mask started the garden to grow vegetables that would feed the prisoners.
We have tomatoes, squash, butter beans, green beans, snap beans. We have every kind of vegetable that, that we need.
Nonviolent offenders are allowed to plant, harvest, and sort the vegetables. Those who can't leave their cells also have roles to play.
Even the ones that can't go out, that are locked down in their cells, we put corn in, they shuck and silk the corn.
After the vegetables are harvested, they're brought to these walk-in coolers where they're frozen. The sheriff says there's about a 2-year supply of vegetables to feed the inmates.
If we don't grow anything else this year, we had vegetables for 2 years. And so with this crop here, it will put us on over in case we have a bad year next year.
The county jail garden also saves taxpayer dollars.
It costs us about approximately 84 cents a day per inmate, not a meal but a day. And that's a big savings, and that helps, where we can use the money to buy other things instead of food.
Sheriff Mask says all the corn should be harvested in the next week or so. Other vegetables will be harvested throughout the summer and into the fall. In Pontotoc County, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
Sheriff Mask says much of the seed is donated, and businesses have donated walk-in coolers and other supplies for the jail garden.
Some area residents are putting their faith on display in a big way.
We take a look at their towering achievement when we come back. Welcome back. A giant symbol of the Christian faith is risen for everyone in Eupora to see. The Cross of Christ was completed today at its permanent location, the intersection of Highways 9 and 82. Several hundred people were there for the completion of the project. The Cross of Christ is 120 feet tall, weighs in at more than 45,000 pounds. Organizers say they received $210,000 in donations to build this cross.
It's really something that will bond all of our communities in this area. When we were collecting money, it was so amazing. People from out of state, from New York, from Detroit, from all over the United States read about us on Facebook and were sending money. So it's not just our cross. This cross is for everybody.
And it took 7 working days to build and raise the cross.
The Women's Amateur Golf Championship will soon be coming to Clay County. Old Waverly Golf Club will be playing host to more than 100 of the best women golfers in the country. The tourney tees off August 5th and will play will continue all week. Organizers have spent the past few months gearing up for the big event.
Hospitality is very important for a championship like this. We want the girls to leave here remembering their experience here at Old Waverly, and so there's a lot of committees that have been formed and a lot of volunteers that have gone into hosting this championship.
We're ready for these 156 participants to come in and play this championship venue. We're hoping that a lot of spectators come and support it. It'll be on TV. So we're excited to kind of see the scores and to see these talented young ladies come and visit Old Waverly for their championship venue.
Volunteers are still needed for the beginning of the event. If you would like to volunteer, just visit oldwaverly.com.
Right now in Tupelo, we're watching some building clouds. There are some storms around Tupelo. Right now downtown we are dry, but some heavy rain in some spots like Louisville giving rise to that nice little rainbow right there. We'll have the latest on our current storm situation, plus a look at the weekend, which will include Tropical Storm Barry. That's after the break.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
6:17 here live here at Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon. The rain's still coming on down. We've had some gully washers out there this afternoon over the last hour or so. Those storms have blasted on into Columbus, and we've been getting soaked with heavy rain, some refreshing breezes, lots of lighting in some of this activity too. You can see this little line right there. That is an outflow boundary that is acting like a little mini cold front. So it will pass on through. It's going from east to west, and behind it, building up are these big tall clouds that are producing the showers and storms and the heavy downpours. We have some additional cells budding back down here west of Louisville, and a few more storm cells here south of Tupelo and also to the east of Tupelo here. And there's another outflow boundary right here kicking back to the west. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see more storms fill on in here as we go throughout the next couple of hours, especially across the northwest where we have yet to see storms for the most part today. And then a lot of this goes away as we go throughout the mid to late evening. So a lot of this should be done by about midnight or so. Can't rule out some of that kicking over later on into the night, but in general, this will be an evening event for us. Lows will be down into the 70s once again. And 4-hour day Friday, back up to around 90. Scattered storms possible, much like today, not as hot, but the heat index will still be flirting with the century mark. So a warm and steamy Friday for us. Here's the latest on Barry. A minimum storm, 40-mile-per-hour sustained wind moving to the west at 5. The low is expected to track into Louisiana sometime tomorrow night into Saturday and then move up the Mississippi River Valley. We would be on the eastern side of that, and that track would also give rise to some issues around here, perhaps 2 to 6 inches of rain or more. That could give rise to a flooding or flash flooding threat around here. Also an isolated tornado threat too, basically from Saturday afternoon through Sunday night, depending on the track of the system. And we may see some power outages too if we do have some saturated soil and a little bit of a breeze. Wind should not really be a problem here. It's just the fact that we may get a lot of rain. Now, the caveats with this forecast track right now are the caveats are that the system could still go back to the west a little bit, and the western track could actually lessen the impacts here in our area. So the track we just showed you is still uncertain at this point, but it looks like we will be on the eastern side of it regardless, and that would give rise to this isolated tornado potential Saturday and Sunday. Also this heavy rain threat too. Currently those flash flood watches in southwestern Mississippi, but we are advertising in North Mississippi and North Alabama at this point 2 to 6 inches or more. But higher or lesser amounts depending on the exact track of that system. The heaviest rain will stay down toward southwest, but still several inches not out of the realm of possibilities. You can see the center of Barry right there approaching Louisiana tomorrow. We'll have our standard summer storms tomorrow. A lot of that will go away during the evening hours, and then Barry will approach Louisiana as we get into Saturday morning, and then Barry will start to send some of these bands our way, and those would be the bands that could have the tornado potential with it. And this big, thick area of rain right there east of the center, that is where the heaviest rain would be. If that moves through our area, that's what could give us that flooding threat. So we're going to be watching out for that as we get into the weekend. Again, the track not set in stone at this point, but we're watching it here. 87 Saturday, 78 Sunday with that rain and storm chance because of Barry. We're back to normal by the middle of next week. More of the show after the break.
Your WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
The next stop on our 60 Schools in 60 Days excursion checks in with the Nettleton Tigers. As the 18th stop, the Tigers are coming off of a tough season. Head coach Ken Tobbs and his team is eager to get back to it on the gridiron.
WCBI's 60 Schools in 60 Days is brought to you by Sparklight.
The Nettleton Tigers want to start a new trend. Coming off back-to-back 4 and 6 seasons, the Tigers' primary focus is to get over the hump.
Man, it's all about getting over that hump, man. You know, you go into the season thinking one game at a time. But you know, you can't help but look down that schedule. But you just got to figure out a way to get past the slow starts that we're having, and that's been our problem most games. We come out starting slow and then end up fighting back. We just got to figure out how to come out in that first quarter and win ball games.
Coach Sauce has brought that up a lot. Just being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and he's really pushed us, and we hope this summer we've done enough to get over the hump.
Youth will be key for the Tigers. Nettleton has to replace 13 seniors from last year's team, giving the young guys an opportunity to step into impact roles.
Even though we lost a lot, we still have a lot from last year, and also have a lot of young guys coming up from junior high. So I'm hopefully we'll take the summer and build on it and have a great year.
Getting all these boys just come together, we're gonna be straight because we're coming together as a team, as one. We got a lot of people stepping up, working hard this summer, and I think we're gonna be all right.
A lot of those guys contributed a whole lot, so you know you're trying to replace them with some younger guys, and I think those younger guys are stepping up to the plate right now.
It always helps a young team whenever the starting quarterback returns. Senior leader Graham Gardner will play a major factor in the Tigers' success.
He's a senior. He's only been playing for 2 years, though. Last year was his first full year of football out there. So, you know, he made some, I guess you could say, rookie mistakes. But, man, just to see how much he's grown, how more comfortable he's been in the offense this offseason, I know things are going to be great going forward.
Nettleton starts the season August 23rd on the road against Bruce. Reporting in Nettleton on the high school football tour, Chris Bolton, WCBI Sports.
We are still 42 days away from the beginning of the high school football season, which means we have 42 more tour stops to go. Our stops through 3A continue on throughout the weekend. The Amory Panthers coming up on Friday to kick off the weekend. On Saturday, we check in with the Water Valley Blue Devils, followed on Sunday with the Winona Tigers. And Monday kicks off Alabama week with Aliceville. If you've missed any stops along the way, you can always go watch them on our website at wcbi.com. It only took one standout performance in the NBA Summer League for Terrence Davis to find himself a new professional home. The defending NBA champs, the Toronto Raptors, make it officially official that the former Ole Miss Rebel has earned a spot on the team's roster. Davis originally signed with the Denver Nuggets as an undrafted free agent. In his debut, he led the Nuggets with 22 points, went 5 for 7 from downtown, along with 5 boards and 3 assists to help get Denver the victory over Orlando. The South Haven native accomplished many things in his career as a decorated Rebel. That's it for sports. The last look at your forecast is coming up after the break.
Some good thunderstorms out there right now. Heavy downpours, lightning, refreshing breezes. A lot of that goes away by midnight here. But just like yesterday evening, some of you will get soaked. Some of you may not see a drop, but that's the nature of the beast this time of year. So more scattered storms possible tomorrow. We're watching Barry for your weekend. And of course, we'll have another update for you at 10 here at WCBI, the latest from the Hurricane Center.
And you'll be keeping a close eye on that. All right, thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Have a good night.